From its commencement, the Legend of Zelda series has celebrated countless incarnations of Link, the unwavering hero destined to defend Hyrule. Yet, beneath the bright veneer of this enduring legacy lies an unspoken question. What if one of these Links did not spring from privilege or safety? Traditionally, Link's journey begins with humble yet secure beginnings, marked by quiet pastoral life or gentle mentorship. But imagine a starkly different origin, a hero born not into freedom, but into servitude, not nurtured by the warm embrace of Hyrule, but forged in the cold, unyielding grasp of bondage. Could such a hero exist? Well, under this context, let's chronicle a different tale. A Link that began in chains. Tell me, do you ever feel a strange sadness as dusk falls? A fleeting breath before the world plunges into shadow. There's something profoundly human in watching the light slip away, a quiet reminder of the transient nature of all things. And as day surrenders to night, it's as if the earth itself pauses, reflecting on what has passed before darkness claims the horizon. In this fleeting golden moment, below the bright veneer of Hyrule lies a haunting testament to a past dominion. A vast array of mines, carved into the earth's marrow, where precious minerals were unearthed at a great cost. Remnants of this extraction linger, abandoned machinery, cavernous voids, and enigmatic statues. Among these sculptures, the races of Hyrule are immortalized in stone. Hylian, Zora, Goron's Rito, each rendered with care, yet amidst the familiar forms stand a figure alien to the known world. Canine-like statues whose stoic visages bear little resemblance to any surface race. Who are these people? And what can their lingering remains tell us? To unravel the mysteries of these depths, we must first look into the heavens above. In an age long faded into myth, the Zonai descended upon the kingdom of Hyrule, and their arrival was heralded as divine, the presence reshaping the land into a realm of radiance and splendor. Theirs was a civilization of wonders, an age gilded by technology and knowledge, yet their grandeur came at a cost. Beneath the golden surface lay the lifeblood of their ingenuity. A wealth of minerals wrested from the earth, consumed to sustain their shimmering empire. Their legacy, now buried in shadow, whispers of both majesty and sacrifice. A sacrifice, perhaps one imposed upon unwilling hands. As Link ventures through the shadowy labyrinth of the depths and Tears of the Kingdom, he is drawn into a world where light is scarce. To survive this harsh and unyielding domain, he discovers the Miner's Set, a garb forged for the darkness. Yet, as his gaze lingers on its design, unease stirs. The attire is held together by chains, made less for protection than it did for something else. Who wore this attire, and what else can we discern from these miners? The Zonai are revered for their unparalleled technological marvels, wonders so profound that they once ruled the surface world and shaped the very founding of Hyrule. Yet beneath their splendor lies a fragile truth. The heartbeat of their civilization depends on Zonite ore. Every mechanism, every weapon, every towering construct owes its very existence to this rare mineral. Without Zonite, the civilization of the Zonai would cease. And as the old world burns in the fires of industry, a haunting question lingers. Who toiled in the mines to sustain their dominion? To unravel this, we must examine the miner's form. Its elongated snout, almost canine in its sharp, spectral form. Does this visage seem familiar? Perhaps it stirs memories of the enigmatic statues we've encountered before, their features carved in eerie similarity. But what does this connection whisper to us? And are there other secret connections? To answer that, Let's take a look at this clip found in Breath of the Wild.
The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of Calamity Ganon, a primal evil that has endured over the ages. This evil has been turned back time and time again by a warrior wielding the soul of a hero and a princess who carries the blood of the goddess. Upon Ganon's inevitable return to Hyrule, the princess and the hero fought alongside these 4 champions against this ancient evil. The Guardians were tasked with protecting the hero as the divine beasts unleashed a furious attack upon their terrible foe. And when the hero wielding the sword that seals the darkness delivered his final blow, the princess used her sacred power to seal away Calamity Ganon.
10,000 years before the events we now witness, Calamity Ganon first unleashes his fury upon Hyrule. In that old age, an ancient hero rose to oppose him, a figure unlike any other. Where past heroes bore the familiar visage of the Hylians, this hero stood apart, green skin crowned with fiery red hair. Who was this enigmatic savior, and what secrets might their tale whisper of the ancient miners and the elusive Zonai? Deeper insights emerge at the tail end of Link's journey within Tears of the Kingdom, through the discovery of the ancient hero's aspect, a sacred artifact bestowed upon only to the most daring of explorers. This reward is more than a mere trinket, and whispers of a forgotten savior, a figure resembling the one in ancient tapestries. His visage, distinctly canine in form, evokes an air of both strength and sorrow, a silent echo of the statues buried in shadow and the miner's attire worn in toil. The parallels between these elements are hauntingly deliberate. The elongated snout's a reoccurring motif, binding these remnants of the past in a web of forgotten history. Who was this ancient hero, whose strength was great enough to quell the first calamity? And yet, how was such a monumental figure along with his people consigned to obscurity? Was it a deliberate act, or merely the inexorable erosion of time? The origins of this enigmatic champion remain veiled. What trials did he face? What sacrifices did he make? And how, against all odds, did he achieve his fateful victory? These unanswered questions linger, yet there are other implications to address here. The Zonai are often regarded as divine, the presence shrouded in mystery and awe by the denizens of Hyrule. To the people, they were not just rulers, but celestial beings, mythic figures whose grandeur transcended mortal understanding. Over the ages, their likeness was imitated, their legacy revered, and their influence woven into the fabric of Hyrule's culture. So profound was their impact that even the heavens themselves became synonymous with the Zonai's majesty, their domain thought to stretch beyond the earthly realm. But what then of those who did not come from the heavens, but instead rose, or rather were cast from the depths of the earth? Beneath the golden surface of Zonai reverence lies a darker, more sobering tale, hidden from sunlight in the cold, suffocating embrace of stone, toiled beings whose existence has been all but erased. Bound together in chains, they worked ceaselessly in the mines, extracting the mineral wealth that fueled Zonai's splendor. These forgotten souls, chattel to an empire that saw them as tools rather than lives, are now but a whisper in the winds of history. Even their name, a hallmark of identity, has been obliterated, lost to the relentless march of time. Their legacy survives only in the faint echoes of their labor, etched into the very stones they unearthed for a civilization that consumed them and discarded their memory. What truths lie buried in this painful silence? Did the exalted Zonai, so revered and imitated, sanction the enslavements of these subterranean people to sustain their own prosperity? Was their industry fueled by the suffering of those beneath them? Their divine status tainted by mortal cruelty? The thought cast a shadow over their grandeur, a melancholy reminder that even the most radiant legends can be built on foundations of sorrow and exploitation. And so we are left to wonder, how much of the Zonai's divinity was forged not in the heavens, but in the darkness of the mines below? Within this context, Ganondorf's ambitions take on a more complex and somber hue, no longer simply the unchecked aggression of a power-hungry king, but perhaps something far more reactionary, even tragic. Picture the king of an independent region of Hyrule, standing firm against the encroaching shadow of the Zonai, a foreign power whose dominance seemed inevitable. As their influence spread across the land, so too did their industry and their chains. Beneath the grandeur of their technology and divine reverence lay the suffering of countless souls, enslaved to toil endlessly in the mines that fueled Zonai opulence. What must Ganondorf have felt? A proud leader now forced to watch as his sovereignty was threatened, his people overshadowed, and the land itself seemingly handed over to the very beings Hyrule had come to revere. Perhaps Ganondorf's actions were not born solely from ambition, but from a deep sense of foreboding, a desperate need to act before it was too late. In his eyes, the Zonai were not gods, but conquerors. Their gilded reign a smothering force that sought to erase independence in favor of subjugation. Perhaps he believed that if he did not rise against them, all of Hyrule, including his own domain, would fall under their control, which of course it did, consumed by the endless hunger of their ambition. It is not hard to imagine how a leader might feel cornered, his back against the wall, compelled to act against a foe he saw as encroaching. Granted, Ganondorf is no savior. His name is synonymous with darkness and destruction for good reasons, his rage and pride leading to commit acts that would scar the land for generations. But in the glow of hindsight, can we not also see the desperation in his defiance, the choices of a man who felt his hand was forced, his kingdom's very survival at stake? When viewed through this lens, his actions, though cruel and devastating, become tinged with a somber humanity. Perhaps then, Ganondorf is not merely a figure of malevolence, but a cautionary tale of how fear, pride, and desperation can lead even the mightiest to fall into ruin. A tragic king caught in the tide of history, whose story may yet hold truths we are only beginning to understand. Yet, despite everything, the aspect of the story that resonates with me the most is the tale of the ancient hero. Among all the countless incarnations of Link, the timeless hero chosen to protect Hyrule, he is always depicted in familiar terms, as a Hylian, a figure inherently tied to the kingdom he defends. But this ancient hero stands apart, distinct in a way that feels almost haunting. His origins hint at something far removed from the nobility of Hylian bloodlines, or the idyllic villages of Hyrule's heartlands. No, this hero seems to come from a different lineage entirely, one potentially bound to a history of suffering. He may have belonged to a people who toiled in the darkness, enslaved to mine the wealth that sustained the splendor of the Zonai, a forgotten people whose very existence was reduced to servitude, their sacrifices unacknowledged, their stories swallowed by time. And yet, despite this cruel inheritance, this hero chose to rise above it all. He stood not as a servant of vengeance, but as a defender of the very land that failed to defend him. Hyrule, a kingdom that likely looked past him and his people, using them as mere tools for its own prosperity, was still the land he chose to protect. What kind of strength does it take for someone to make such a choice? To shield those who would not shield you? To fight for a kingdom that turned a blind eye to your own suffering? To me, that is the most profound and heartbreaking part of the story. The silent nobility of a hero who had every reason to walk away, every right to turn his back on a world that offered him nothing but chains, yet still chose to save it. What could have driven him to make such a sacrifice? Was it love for the land itself? Was it a sense of duty, not to the kingdom, but to the innocent lives that would suffer in the calamity's wake? Or was it something deeper? Something we may never fully understand. A glimmer of hope, perhaps that even a fractured and unjust kingdom could still be worth saving. These questions linger, I'm afraid, unanswered. And yet, it is this mystery, this untold tale of a silent courage and impossible resolve that captivates me far more than the broader narrative of Tears of the Kingdom itself. The ancient hero story is one of pain and perseverance, of a choice to rise above bitterness and despair, and to become something greater. It is a story potentially steeped in sorrow, yet radiant with a quiet, unshakable hope. A story that, to me, is more powerful than any prophecy or legend Hyrule has ever known. Within the cold, unyielding links of the miner's chains lies a story of resilience. A quiet testament to the strength of those who once bore their weight. These chains, these remnants of a forgotten people, have endured the passage of countless centuries. Their attire, simple yet imbued with purpose, stands as a haunting relic of a past buried beneath layers of dust and time. To think that such garments, forged in an age long before memory, could survive for thousands of years is staggering. And yet, here they are, offering their aid to a new Link, a new hero on his journey. The rest of this tale, the threads of this ancient mystery, may be uncovered through the events of Tears of the Kingdom. But even with what little we know, the echoes of the past cry out with questions that remained unanswered. Who were the ancient miners whose lives were spent in the shadowy depths, chained to the toil of the earth? Were they simply tools forgotten even as they labored? Or is there another tale to be told? And the ancient hero, what of him? Did he rise from among these same forgotten souls? Did the fire of his resolve ignite in the darkness of the mines, forged by the very chains meant to bind him? Their origins, their purpose, and their ultimate fate remain an enigma, one that calls out to us from a distant past. But what do you guys think? Who were the mysterious canine miners? What is the true origin of the ancient hero, whose story remains veiled in the mists of time? Feel free to share your thoughts below. And here it is, my first Zelda theory in years. Wow, I honestly barely remember the last time I did a video like this. Hopefully this video came out okay, and you came out of this both entertained and informed. I really want to do more of these in the future with different subjects. I have some spicy ideas cooking up. Also, I do want to give out a special shout out to Laurelian Historian and Jared Philbrick. Lauru's help in disseminating an analysis when it comes to the lore of Zelda has been absolutely invaluable. Laurel is just an absolute champ when it comes to Zelda lore. As a result, he has been a major help to this video and can't give enough praise for his aid, especially on this subject. On a side note, I think the ancient hero in theory is up there with the hero of time for me as one of my favorite links. The concept of a Link that isn't Hylian and is an outsider to Hyrule is just too cool of an idea. And Jared has been a massive help in terms of editing and helping me run this free cam mod in order to create these insane cinematic shots you see throughout the video. So yeah, awesome sauce. Before I sign out of here, I just wanted to say how good it feels to be back. The last video I did on Echoes of Wisdom was filled with positive responses, so I have nothing but love and gratitude for you guys. So with that said, until next time, and have a damn good one.